That same night, while Munich burns with confusion, a single man walks toward the border. South, toward Switzerland. His name is Georg Elzer. He carries no weapon, no explosives, only tools, and a postcard of the Bürgerbräukeller. At 8:45 p.m., before the explosion, he reaches the border crossing at Constance. Customs officers stop him. Routine questions, routine search. Then they find something unusual: wire cutters, detonator parts, sketches. The officers exchange glances. This is no smuggler. They place him under arrest, minutes before the explosion rocks Munich. By the time the news arrives, Elzer is already in custody. History has caught him from the wrong side. Elzer is taken to Munich, to the Gestapo. The interrogation begins immediately. No lawyers, no witnesses. They beat him, question him, break his teeth. And still he repeats the same sentence: "I acted alone." The Gestapo does not believe him. They are trained to hunt networks, cells, conspiracies. A single carpenter from a small village cannot, in their minds, nearly kill the Führer. So they push harder. Hours turn into days. Finally, Elzer is shown photographs of the destroyed beer hall. He looks at them calmly and begins to explain every detail: the hollowed pillar, the timing device, the calculations. No contradictions, no hesitation. The room falls silent. They realize something terrifying. He is telling the truth. The problem is not evidence. The problem is ideology. Nazi Germany cannot accept that one ordinary man nearly changed history. If Elzer acted alone, then the system is fragile, and the Führer is not protected by destiny. So they invent another story: British intelligence, communist agents, foreign plots. Elzer rejects them all. Again and again he insists, "No one helped me." This makes him more dangerous, not less, because his existence proves that resistance does not need permission. Unable to execute him publicly, unable to use him as propaganda, the regime makes a decision. They will make him disappear. Not as a martyr, but as a secret. In 1940, Georg Elzer is transferred to Sachsenhausen concentration camp. Not as a typical prisoner. He is isolated, separated, watched closely. The regime does not kill him. Not yet. Elzer becomes a contradiction the Nazis cannot resolve. If they execute him, he becomes proof that resistance existed early. If they release him, they admit failure. So they choose a third option. They keep him alive, as evidence, as insurance, as a future bargaining chip. He is given slightly better conditions, not comfort, not freedom, just survival. Outside his cell, the war expands. France falls. Bombers cross Europe. Inside, time slows to a crawl. Days lose meaning. Years blur together. Elzer waits, not knowing if history will ever remember why he is there. In 1944, as Germany begins to collapse, Elzer is moved again. This time to Dachau. The camp is overcrowded. Diseases spread. Executions increase. The regime is no longer confident. It is afraid. Elzer's status changes. He is no longer a future witness. He is a liability. The war is being lost. All secrets must be buried. Elzer senses it. The guard's behavior shifts. The silence grows heavier. There are no more interrogations. Only waiting. Waiting for an order that everyone knows is coming. By April 1945, the Allies are closing in. Berlin is burning. Inside Dachau, Elzer is weak, thin, ill, exhausted. He has been imprisoned for more than 5 years. 5 years for 13 minutes. On April 9, 1945, just weeks before liberation, the order is given. Georg Elser is taken behind the crematorium. There is no trial, no witnesses. He is shot. The war ends less than a month later. Germany collapses. The camps are liberated. Elser does not live to see it. He dies as he lived, alone, and misunderstood. April 1945. The Third Reich is collapsing. Berlin is surrounded. Radio messages are fragmented. Orders contradict each other. Inside the SS hierarchy, one instruction becomes clear: no witnesses. Prisoners connected to unfinished stories must not survive. Georg Elser's name appears on a short list, not as a threat, but as a reminder of a failure the regime never forgave. The order is brief, no explanation, no paperwork. Special treatment. Everyone understands what that means. April 9, 1945, Dachau concentration camp. The morning is cold. Elser is removed from his cell. No resistance, no questions. He knows. 5 years of waiting have taught him to recognize the end. He is led behind the crematorium. There is no crowd, no record. Only guards following an order that will soon be meaningless. Elser stands still. No final speech, no confession. A single shot. His body is cremated immediately. No grave, no marker. Just another attempt to erase a man from history. 3 weeks later, Dachau is liberated. American soldiers arrive to empty watchtowers and open gates. They are too late for Georg Elser. For years after the war, his name is barely mentioned. Germany prefers other stories, louder ones, simpler ones. Elser does not fit. He was not a general, not part of a group, not supported by a movement. He was one man who decided that doing nothing was worse than dying. So history stays silent. For decades. Until silence itself becomes suspicious. And questions return. Who was Georg Elser? And what does it mean that he came so close, so early, and so alone? History remembers dates. Battles, treaties, victories. It remembers names carved into monuments. But it often forgets moments. November 8, 1939 is remembered for what happened, rarely for what almost did. 13 minutes do not appear in textbooks. They do not have statues. Yet those 13 minutes carried the weight of millions of lives. Memory is selective, and silence, too, is a form of remembering. After the war, Germany searched for meaning. It looked for resistance that felt organized, respectable, collective. Elser did not fit. He had no uniform, no network, no ideology to inherit. He was early. Too early. He acted before guilt became acceptable, and that made people uncomfortable. Because remembering Elser means admitting that knowing was possible, and that action was a choice. So his name faded. Not erased, just quietly set aside. Until time made the silence impossible to ignore. Georg Elser did not change history. But he challenged it. He proved that resistance does not begin with armies. It begins with one person deciding that waiting is no longer an option. He failed. And yet, his failure forces a question that still matters. If 13 minutes could have changed everything, what are we doing with the minutes we are given? This film is not a tribute to what was. It is a reminder of what almost was, and of how fragile history truly is. Sometimes the difference between silence and catastrophe is not courage, not strength, but time. 13 minutes.